Welcome Scorpio to your in-depth monthly forecast for November 2024 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. Please see beneath this video to view your year 2025 Zodiac forecast. You can also order your personal forecast for next year now, get the rest of this year free, and also your life roadmap report and 30% off. Please see below for that too. It's an incredibly powerful start to the month with a huge scorpionic theme. On screen now, I'm showing your event chart. Now, of course, we have the new moon on the 1st in your sign. Always an opportunity to showcase your individual talents. Over the next month, do take seriously any strands you have ongoing that could require or benefit from an extra spark of vitality and enthusiasm. But it's also an opportunity to recast your personal identity. Be more strident about new ideas that you have, perhaps getting some off the ground. But we must be mindful of your two rulers because they start this month pretty well in direct opposition. That becomes exact on the 3rd, and in fact through to the middle of this month they are really face to face. Now Mars is going to be moving on the 4th into a very powerful area, and if you're wanting to make progress professionally, that's your opportunity to raise your profile in a very potent way. But let's just be mindful that Mars is very close to that 10th house cusp. Any planet which is close to an angle is likely to be influential. So this is a month where you may be determined to have your voice heard. Now, you can be quite direct at times, but there's another more nuanced part of your nature which can be quite private. But this is a month when, if you have ideas or beliefs that you feel passionately about, you're going to be in the space to articulate that message with conviction, determination and willpower. So it's exciting stuff. You also have Mercury right at the start of the month in an electric opposition with Uranus. So even if it does mean being a little more controversial or making a surprise move or showing people that you can be very innovative in your approach, or perhaps around a relationship, doing something that's more dramatic, all of that can be informed by Mercury opposite Uranus. Now later in the month there is going to be a full moon in your opposite sign of Taurus. That's on the 15th, and that's very much about relationships. But then the Sun will go in an opposition with Uranus for the following week. So week 3 can see a lot of electricity around relationships. So if you're wanting to take the initiative at the start of this month in the way that I feel you will, it could create some waves, particularly if you're in a sleepy relationship which perhaps needs some kind of spark to reignite it, or perhaps you're in a tie that's not really working for you, or if you're single or you'd not like to meet someone you can collaborate with around a hobby or a business idea. There's lots of potential for that this month, but I think the thing you're going to be doing most of all is seizing the initiative. Because, Scorpio, there's also a grand water trine right at the start of this month between Mercury in your sign, Mars, but also Neptune. Neptune's in a very creative part of your chart. Mercury in your own sign, giving you that encouragement to make a step forwards, particularly with Uranus in opposition, and not be so worried about what other people think. And with Mars so high in your chart, giving you that confidence to raise your game and also your profile. But on the 2nd, Mercury makes its way out of your sign and into the sign of Sagittarius. Now, you start this month with Venus in that area, and that can be good for finance. Mercury move in here can give you even greater desire to improve your law. Just be aware, however, that Venus is confronted by Saturn at the start of this month. I wouldn't be too free and easy with resources. Also, if there's someone you're strongly attracted to, avoid grand gestures. Mercury squares up with Saturn in week 2. If you are thinking that you want to be more speculative with your resources in terms of a business idea, do make sure you really do your research. But on the 4th, Mars climbs right into the top of your chart. Mars in Cancer really loves attention. Don't be surprised if through to the end of this year you are much more seeking of recognition and acknowledgement. But if you are someone who runs a little bit on the shy or perhaps the reserve side, that can be all to the good, because it can give you that extra push to seize the limelight. If you're someone who's much more comfortable working with people and networking and showcasing your talents, this is a chance to really turn up the volume, so do go for it. We do have on the 7th, however, Mercury going into its pre-retrograde shadow in your 2nd house. Through to the 3rd of January next year, financial affairs, although they're boosted by Venus broadly, you've seen that Saturn is moderating Venus. So with the retrograde beginning on the 26th of this month in your sector of everyday money, do marshal your resources in a very finite way. But on the 11th, Venus moves into Capricorn. Don't underestimate just how much impact you can have upon others with your topics that you're discussing, but also just your tone. The way you come across could captivate someone, particularly in the following week, as Pluto spends its last week in our lifetimes in your 3rd house. Think back to 2008. It's probable that since then your thinking, ideas, connections to neighbours, your immediate environment, even siblings, has gone through some kind of significant shift. You're going to see what the outcome of all of that is in the week following the 11th. Now on the 15th, Saturn goes direct. If your love life has felt a little muted over the last 5 months, or you have felt a little bit disconnected from people, or your social world has not been quite as sparkly as it could, things can ease on the same day there is that full moon in your opposite sign. So that's all about relationships. Over the next couple of weeks, you're going to be asked some questions. It may be that someone's objecting to your single-mindedness that you've been showing at the start of this month. Now, they may have a valid point if they've not seen much of you. Now, you may feel that what you're occupying yourself with is ultimately for their benefit, but it's all about keeping people in the loop. And someone could surprise you by their move. So with Uranus in the 7th house on this particular full moon, don't take any relationship for granted, for sure. However, if you are wanting to take that step of asking someone out on a date or connecting to someone online, Uranus very much to do with technology, I feel. Maybe the energies of the Sun opposing Uranus in week 3 just give you that push to be more daring. The 19th, however, sees Pluto return to Aquarius. We've had 2 visits so far. Through to 2043-44, your home and emotional life could change hugely. If you have been involved in a renovation or a home move over the last year or so, wouldn't be a surprise. If you're about to get involved with one, neither would that be a surprise either. The 4th house is where we live, but it's also in terms of Pluto where things can be deconstructed but also revived. If your family life, for example, has not been quite as good as it could be, an opportunity to rebirth it. If there's something that hasn't been working for you, perhaps Pluto's asking to think about the process of change, because that's what Pluto is about, change and transformation. But it can be to do with Renaissance too. The 21st sees the Sun move out of your sign and into Sagittarius. Here it's asking you to think about the aforementioned resources. But Mercury goes retrograde on the 26th, but just know the Sun forges a great link to Pluto. So there is a chance to benefit from some kind of opportunity around a property rental or purchase, or perhaps a room rental. And it could be a change which actually gives you a greater sense of security, and that's definitely to be celebrated. As the month draws to a close, therefore, Finances will need that particular care and management because of the Mercury retrograde, but it's also a chance to rethink what some of your values are, your attitudes to finance. Could there be some shifts there? The new moon in your sign at the start of this month certainly creates a lot of excitement and potential, Scorpio. It's all about you having the confidence to take centre stage. Not everyone's going to get it, but when it comes to conversations this month, I think they can be quite strident. But if you are someone with a message that you want to share to a wider audience, Mars gives you a glorious opportunity to raise your profile. Have a great month. Please check out your year 2025 deep dive video forecast by seeing the link beneath this video.